Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you the Colourpop Tinkerbell collection. This is going to be my first time using Colourpop, and this collection just really caught my eye because it's full of these beautiful green tones, chartreuses, and I do have a soft spot for Tinkerbell as well. So I was really curious about this whole collection. So I'm going to be showing you the collection today and applying it to my face. So if you'd like to see all of that, just keep on watching. I actually want to start with the lips because I feel like I need something on my lips. This collection has two lip products in it. They're called a Glossy Lip Stain, and I'd say that's an accurate name. I tried one of them yesterday. I didn't mind the formula, but it has a kind of bitter taste to it that I don't really love. So I don't think I'll be using this all that much, but I do want to show you the colors and put one of them on my lips so you can see what it looks like. I'm gonna swatch them first. So this one here is Tinkerbell. It's more of a true rose color, I would say. And then this is Clap If You Believe, which is more of a rosewood color. It has a lot more brown in it. So I think for today, I'm gonna go with this Clap If You Believe color. Just has a nice little doe foot applicator. Doesn't really have a scent. I think it just smells of the makeup. I actually really like the texture and the finish of it. I have been trying to figure out what the feeling of it as it goes on the lips is like. It's definitely like something I've tried before, but I just can't place in my mind what it is. If I think of it, I'll update the description box. But it has quite a thin, almost watery feeling to it. And then it kind of becomes a little bit sticky as it starts to set down, and then it kind of really sets into the lips. It doesn't become drying or completely dry, but it just sort of settles down and dries down a little bit. You know what? I think it actually reminds me of the texture of the Clarins lip water stains. I have a couple of those. I'll try to put a little picture up here. It's a very similar feeling as it goes on the lips to those, and actually kind of a similar formula, although I would say this one is just a little bit thicker and has a little bit more of a tack to it. I really like this color. I think it's a great sort of natural, my lips but better type of color. And actually I'm not minding the taste of it as much. I think now that I kind of know what it tastes like, I just let it sit down and be careful about not sort of licking the inside of my lips, and it's not bothering me too much. So maybe I will be able to get a little bit more use out of these than I was originally thinking. So those are the lips, and next let's move on to the eyes. See, for my hand, they did stain my skin a little bit, so that means they're a true proper lip stain, which is great. So for the eyes, there's this collection of 3 Super Shock shadows, and they came beautifully packaged. Everything in this collection seems really well thought out and with great attention to detail. So the Super Shock shadows came packaged in this little box like this, which is very beautiful. And the cardboard has like a glittery gold on it. I really like the way they've chosen to represent Tinkerbell. It's a lovely kind of stylized animation that doesn't look too childish, I suppose, but still you know it's Tinkerbell. It's just a beautiful representation of the character, I think. So I've swatched the 3 Super Shock shadows here. This one's called Never Grow Up. It's a beautiful kind of sparkly burgundy shade. The green one in the middle is called Straight On Till Morning. And then this sort of pale, dusky peach is called Fly to Your Heart. So I think these are all really beautiful shades, and you can see that lovely, almost wet-like shine on them. They're, I would say, like a hybrid cream powder formula. I know a lot of people seem to really love this Super Shock formula, and I think it feels really beautiful. And I tried one of them on my eyes yesterday, and it looked really, really great on the eyes. So I think this is a wonderful formula. I would say just be careful if you get these to make sure that the top is closed tight, because I have heard that they can kind of dry out over time. This collection also has 2 eyeliners. Swatch them here. The brown one is called Lost Girl. It's a shimmery brown shade. And then the sort of emerald green shimmery shade is called Fly With Me. I haven't tried these yet. They look like really nice colors. I don't know what the wear time or application is going to be like, but we will find out. The last eye product is this beautiful palette. I was really surprised. It has a great weight to it. It is cardboard packaging, but it seems like high quality cardboard, and it has these beautiful details, again with the glittery gold sparkles and stars on it. This butterfly here is raised and has a shiny finish to it. It's a really beautiful looking palette. And when you open it up, it has all of these gorgeous colors and a great mirror in it as well, which I think really adds to the weightiness of the whole palette. All right, so to start out on the eyes, I'm taking my classic crease brush. I'm gonna go into this shade right here, which is called Second Star. So that's a nice, very light transition shade, perfect for my skin tone. I don't know how well it will work on deeper skin tones though. Now I want to go into this shade, which is called Big Magic. And I'm going to take the same brush and just kind of build that on top of where I have the other shade already, just to kind of add a little bit more shading and see how they work together. That blended beautifully. It blended really great on top of the other shade, and I love that tone. Actually, it has a little bit of a rosiness to it. It's kind of a rosy tan taupe kind of color. Really like that. Now I want to build a bit of depth, so I'm going to go into this deep green, which is called Awake. I'm taking my Wayne Goss number 6 brush and going to shade that into the outer corner and crease. Just to make sure that's really nicely blended, I'm taking my Sonia G Worker. You can see maybe there's a little bit of patchiness there. Could also be because of the brush I used. On the other eye, I'm gonna try with my Soft Definer from Sonia G. See if that makes any difference. Actually gonna grab the mini booster. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of patchiness there regardless of which brush I use, but it can be blended out pretty easily. And I'm planning to cover most of the eye with some shimmer anyway, so this is really just to build in a bit of depth. Keep in mind, this is really my first time using this formula, so it can take time and practice to get used to using any formula and to learn how to work best with it. But I'd say that actually looks pretty good. Kind of dealt with that little bit of patchiness that I was experiencing and blended it out nicely. All right, now for the fun part, building in some shimmer. I'm gonna start with this one here. This is Neverland. And then I'm gonna move to this one, which is called Pixie Dust. And then I'm gonna move to this one on the inner part of the eye, which is called Small Fairy. Okay, I'm really impressed with this. The shimmers are really beautiful and buttery, They went on so nicely with this brush. I used my Sonia G Builder brush from the Lotus set, and wow, they're so creamy. They have a beautiful impact. Really impressed so far with everything that I've tried in this palette. And I do think the mattes are good, even this one that I was having a little bit of patchiness. I think it was more about the way I was applying it rather than the formula of the powder itself, because it did blend out really nicely and evenly in the end. Now I need to put a little bit of shadow on my lower lash line. I think I'm gonna go right in with Big Magic. And now I'm going to pull out one of the Super Shock shadows. This one is Straight On Till Morning. And I'm going to take that on my flat definer from Sonia G. And just kind of try to build it up on the brush. And then I'm going to put this in the inner corner and pull it along the inner part of the lower lash line. I'm going to diffuse it up into the inner part of the lid. Now for liner, what I'm going to do is use the green one as like an eyeliner above the lash line, and then I'm going to try the brown in my tight line. All right, I'm gonna put some mascara on and then we'll see the whole completed eye look. All right, so here is the eye look all completed. I'm thrilled with how this turned out. I think this is a beautiful eye palette and I really loved the Super Shock shadow too. I'm actually quite excited to have this because I can kind of see this as a stand-in for one of my Chantecaille shadows. Let me just grab that and show you. This beautiful sparkly green shade in the Hummingbird Quartet. You can see I'm already at pan and I haven't used it that much. I've probably used it 5 times and I've hit pan on it already. This was not an inexpensive little palette. So it doesn't have quite the same nuance. I don't see that really peach reflect in this one, and it doesn't have perhaps all the different sizes of glitter, but I think it's a really beautiful shadow still, and obviously a much better value in this little pot here. I talked about the formula of the metallics. I thought it was amazing. I really love the mattes too. I think it's kind of similar to the Wayne Goss matte formula. I think the Wayne Goss is a little bit more powdery than this, and these are a little bit more hard pressed, but I just mean in terms of the buildability, where you can build the colors up gradually. I would consider this sort of similar to the Wayne Goss formula in that sense, at least. The liners went on pretty easily. I'm not sure how much of an impact that brown had on my tight line. I can see that it's not fully opaque along there, and it was hard to tell with the green because I already had green on there, so it kind of blends into the color. They're not the most richly pigmented liners, but I do like especially to have the green one. I think that's a great color to have. Okay, now last but not least, we have 3 cheek products. There are 2 blushes and a highlighter, and I think these are also Super Shock, yeah, Super Shock Cheek. So we have a peach blush, which is called Magic Moon. We have a more kind of terracotta blush here, which is called Darling. And then this is a highlighter and it's called Happy Thoughts. It's kind of like a pinky champagne, really beautiful color. You can see I've already played with that one. So here are the swatches. The feeling of these is very interesting. It's extremely creamy, but it's still a little bit sort of airy or moussey feeling at the same time. I don't think I've ever quite felt anything that feels just like that. I will say the colors of the blush, to me, they're quite straightforward shades. So what I often like in any makeup product, but in blushes as well, is when they're kind of a more complex shade. They might look simple at first, but then you realize that they have all these different tones built into them. And I don't quite see that with these, maybe a bit more with this more terracotta shade, but this peach is sort of a very straightforward peach, but that doesn't mean that it won't work beautifully. So I think I'm actually gonna just mix these two colors together. I'm gonna take my Sonia G Classic base here and just dab into both colors back and forth. And I think this is actually a quite pigmented formula, so I'm gonna try to build up gradually. Okay, those went on very easily. I love the color those two combined created, and they went on really smoothly, and I'm not seeing any emphasis of texture or anything like that, and they seem to be just sort of sinking into the skin really naturally. And now for the highlighter, I'm going to take my mini base and see how that looks. Went really nicely as well. It's the same formula, I believe, as the blushes. So it really blended in quickly and easily. I wouldn't say it's an extremely impactful highlighter, but you can definitely see the shine there. It's more of a subtle glow that I think is really nice if you want a more natural look. I decided I wanted to put the other lip color on top. So this is the more pinky rose color. And I just want to build that on top of the other one to see how the colors look mixed together. I think since I had mixed the two colors on the cheeks, it makes sense to add in this other tone on the lips too. So here's the completed look. I'm really happy with everything so far. Everything applied really beautifully, and I think the standouts for me are the eyeshadow palette and the Super Shock shadows. So far so good, and I'm really happy and really impressed actually with all of these products. Have you tried Colourpop before, or does this collection, like it did for me, get you interested in maybe trying it for the first time? I think if you want a green palette and you love these types of colors, this would be a wonderful thing to get. And it's certainly more affordable than most of the makeup that I usually try. It was actually really quite satisfying when I checked out with this collection to see how much product I was getting and the price I was paying. That certainly wouldn't happen with the luxury or higher end products that I tend to go for. All right, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. I always love to see those. And if you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd really love for you to do so. Thanks again so much. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video.